And we are live here at the Deadbeach Brewery, Mando Medina, Fonzie Gomez, El Autobus, Christian Molinar, and we have the one and only, the head coach of the Franklin Cougars, Ruben Torres. My brother, welcome. You're the very first. This is the EP Broadcast Company Coaches and High School Preview Show. First of all, bro, how are you?
Doing great. Thank you guys for having me.
Yep, and we're here at Deadbeach Brewery. The address is 3200 here, Durazno, I believe.
Durazno, yes.
Fonzie, this is the first time I have ever been here. This is a tremendous place to be out here.
It is a nice facility here. You guys should come out here and take a look and enjoy their good food, the great staff that's out here.
Shout out to the voice of the Miners, John Teicher, who is here still after he did a tremendous job. The very first Coach Scotty Walden coach's show here, of course, legendary. Eating some chicken wings. You know, this is the one time I can kind of turn it. Shout out to my boy Rick, who's still here. Of course, shout out to my boy Drew, and shout out to you, your girlfriend. Girlfriend is here, brother. Making sure, bro. You know what I'm saying? Gotta make sure. You have a lot. Before we get to it, of course, tremendous program you got there with the Franklin Cougars. Let's talk about the family first, because let's get that out of the way. Of course, I am one of course, your brother, Mark. When he was at Pebble Hills, I was very close with. You know, that was one of my focal schools. I had a good time out there with, as you know. And then, of course, your nephew now, Marcus, is a member of the UTEP Miners, and I'm very happy to see where he has progressed from Pebble Hills, the great job he did there with your brother, and then now he's basically on his own, and he earned the spot on that team. I remember when they gave him the scholarship, you know, it was tremendous. So, first of all, the good thing is you get to come watch him. Yeah, and I know it's kind of tough for your brother, because I remember I saw your brother at Delaware, like the last game of the year that he was out there at Delaware. We had a good time. But first of all, how does it make you feel knowing that your nephew is part of the UTEP Miners, kind of like you guys were?
Yeah, we're very proud of him. I think especially when you just look at him and everything that he's overcome, you know, not only athletically but academically. You know, he's going to graduate in December, so we're extremely proud of him, and then he'll start his master's program. But I think he's just a testament to the El Paso community when you talk about hard work and dedication and commitment, and we're, you know, you can't really ask much more of him, what he's done out there. And talking to the coaches at UTEP, they're very proud of him and excited, and he's a worker. I think that it's all the behind-the-scenes stuff that nobody sees ever since he was a little kid, catching balls in the pool and whatnot.
And of course, last year he wore the number 2 in honor of Luke Laufenberg, and I remember when they did that presentation, I told Babe, Babe, you picked the right person this year to do that, because Marcus is a tremendous player, tremendous person, and overall, you know, that's a testament to you and to the job your brother have done of raising him. So I think that's a great thing. So what's it like for you, man? I mean, you're ready to roll this week, game 1. I mean, we got to start what happened last year. You know, I mean, we're gonna get to it. Fonzie, go ahead, brother. Just say, because you're close. You vouch for this guy. You vouch for this guy.
Yeah, me and Fonzie go way back when I first started. First got my opportunity to be a head coach down at Isleta at the reservation, and
you turned that program around while you were there, Coach. You did great stuff for Isleta Indians, and I mean, of course, every time you do great things, you're going to go to the next level in different schools, bigger schools, in which you did. But I'm very proud of what you've done at Isleta and the times that and you've moved on. Great that you're back here at Franklin, which you're building this program right back up to make it a monster, a team and an organization out there to challenge the Eastwoods of the world.
Yes, absolutely. You know, I just had this talk the other day. I went to car dealership to pick up my truck, and one of my former players was there, and we were kind of talking about that. And I tell you what, that's where I learned how to coach. That's where I learned how to teach and really, you know, dive deep in and not take no for an answer. You know, when we first started down there, we didn't have the biggest kids or the best kids according to the city, but they really worked in. The coaching staff worked hard. And back then, we were in a really tough district. You know, when you think about it, it was Del Valle, Riverside, Canutillo, Parkland was rolling. Eastlake had just jumped in 5A. So to make the playoffs and to have the records that we had in that district was a huge accomplishment for us. And I don't take those days for granted at all. I mean, it was a great experience for me. The people were great, getting to meet people like Fonzie. A lot of those kids and families I still keep in touch with. And it's just a special place down there in the lower valley.
I remember being your biggest critic after the night, after your game. I was like, we'll talk.
Fun fact, there's 3 former Isleta Indians right here right now.
Oh,
1, 2, 3. My boy Henry there that just joined us there. So let's talk about the offseason. Of course, last year you had a tremendous season, finished second in District 1-6A, what I like to call where the big boys play, because how difficult is it now? Because I remember that when you made it to the first round of the playoffs, normally you'd be playing one of the local teams here, and then you go on the road, you play the big Midland teams or maybe the Dallas team or whatever. But now, right off the bat, now week 1 of the playoffs, that's more likely who you're going to be facing. What has been the challenge doing that?
I think it's really just the mindset and the expectations and standards that we bring to our community and to the culture. I think when I left town, you're in the dogfight every week. And, one of the interesting things about that experience was, kind of taking the bantering about being from West Texas, being Mexican, and really having to win a lot of people over and show that you can coach. And so we did some special things down there. But what I will tell you is when you get into those playoff runs like we did out there, you have an opportunity to see the game from a different vantage point. And then I think when you prove yourself, you get exposure to some of the better programs across the state, making friendships with those coaches. And so I changed a lot about how I coached, our structures from practices to off season. And so I grew a lot as a coach out there for sure.
It was very beneficial for you leaving El Paso to come back, to bring back the knowledge that you learned from out there. And it's a big thing. A lot of people don't understand how it's so different outside of this city, and then bringing back that knowledge, it's going to help you in the long run, I think.
Oh, no question. When I took the Franklin job, and one of the things when I left, I said if I ever came back, it would be to a school like Franklin, and so I didn't expect it to open that soon, and then with everything that was going around the program at the time, so it was definitely a different experience. We had to do a lot of things of just kind of healing there as a team, moving into the season. I mean, we were very talented for sure, but there were so many things from a, social, mental aspect, social, emotional that we had to work with our team and some of our parents. And so it was definitely a different experience, but I grew. I think I found a lot greater empathy and understanding how important our role is as coaches and as leaders, and that, times change and we have to change with them if we want to stay relevant and successful.
We are getting some comments. Fernie G says that your squad is top notch. So it's good to see that. So Coach, last year, of course, you had a tremendous year. So the students, the kids gravitated to what you were preaching. And of course, you had one heck of a running game without a doubt. Power running. Of course, you had a offensive lineman that was like all stud, of course he's playing at the next level. Also, you're a tremendous running back playing at the next level. So how do you, every year is a different year. How do you expect this year to be? And we had the privilege to, me and Fonzie, to see the players who did show up that went to Prep 1 meet today. Shout out to my boy, Jesse Tovar, the great job he did at the Coliseum. So, they had a great time. I talked to them, we interviewed them, and they say that they don't hear the noise, because last year was last year. This is a totally different season, and they're right. But how are you preparing the team this year, knowing that last year you were very close? It's that one loss that got you very close. And you lost some players, but still a lot of those players are still there. So how did you approach this season?
Well, I think, from a program standpoint, getting in there last June was really late. So I think this group has had a full year with me. Yeah. The coaches understand the expectations. The players understand for sure. But now it's time for these guys to make their name for themselves. And so last year was last year. I think the great thing about high school sports is you get a new team every year.
Every year, yes.
And for me, knowing that a lot of people, or some people, are counting us out, I felt a revived sense of energy going into spring ball. And I'll tell you guys this, in 21 years, it's the best spring football I've ever been a part of. And so I couldn't have been any happier, any more happy with our kids and their efforts, and it just continued into the summer. Obviously, defensively, that was a big area of improvement that we needed to work on, and so with 9 starters back on defense, they've shown up. And then I think our upside on offense is there. I was talking to Fonzie earlier, and I told him, I've never had a bad offense, and I don't plan on starting now, but we'll be young in a lot of places, but I think the potential and the upside is there. And one of the big things I'll say about Franklin that's not just lip service is our kids work very hard, and they have a great support system at home, which I think is huge.
Yep.
In success, that's something that I did learn.
Yep. There's expectations there. The
standard is there
the
now.
pride of the West Side. You know, it all depends. Like them in Coronado. But let's be honest, you guys have been winning that battle the last couple of years. We'll get to the battle of the West Side in a couple of seconds. But I think when you look at what you did last year was totally amazing. Like, because people don't realize that when you're coming in to be the head coach in June, that's like you're way behind what you want to do, because normally you want to get there as soon as the season's over. They're going to make a change and let you know no later than January, so you can implement your system. They can get used to what you're doing. So honestly, I thought it was tremendous what you were able to accomplish last year.
Yeah, our coaching staff did a great job, and I think that's one of the things that when you look at the history of Franklin is so many head coaches and coordinators have come out of that system. Way back from Coach Henry to Coach Grijalva to Coach Walker.
Yep.
And so, this year kind of happened to me where we had to replace 4.
Yep.
And so we got some new guys in and some great people, some great coaches who work hard and do a great job with our kids. But as you said, I think that's a component that's real important to sustain successes. So when you look at the Delais, the Eastwoods, those staffs don't change a lot, and
there's not a big turnover on those staffs, and that's the stability that I think players look forward to. That they know that, hey, I've got this coach for the next 3-4 years that I'm here and that I'm playing varsity. That makes, I think, a big difference for them.
Oh, without question, and I think it says a lot about those head coaches that their assistants don't want to leave.
Yep.
A lot of those guys could be head coaches at other places, and they choose to stay there. So I think you got to give a lot of credit to, from when Coach Perales was there at Del Valle,
Rudy's there.
Rudy's there, and of course what Coach Lopez has done at Eastwood. And so, that says a lot about them too as head coaches, that their guys want to stay there and they believe in what they're doing. And, that's another thing every year. You kind of take a deep breath, like who's leaving and who's coming.
Who's offered. Yep. I mean, and it's just like the college game and the NFLs where assistants get pulled, and it's actually your job. The head coach is like, look, I was like, yeah, I'd love for you to be that next head coach, but I'd love for you to stay on the staff. You're great. You're a great asset. It's almost like you're doing recruiting on all aspects. Yeah,
and then the other thing, to speak to that too is, you got to have the right principal in place. And I've been very blessed when I got to Franklin that our principal, Ms. Bowser, is super supportive. And with all the things that are happening across the state with teacher cuts and budget, for her to, make it happen for me to hire the guys that I wanted, I think speaks a lot.
Correct.
And so, that's a little bit more pressure on me too, because there's an investment, from my boss in it.
And there's expectations. We're speaking to Coach Ruben Torres of the Franklin Cougars, open up this Friday night at Irvin. They're going to be taking on Chapin. Am I correct when I say that? Or is it at Franklin?
We're going to play at Franklin.
That's at Franklin. Okay, so the game is going to be at Franklin. So talk to me about what it's like, Friday Night Lights at Franklin. What is it? What is it like, especially the opening game? I mean, there's nothing like it, right?
Oh, there's nothing like it. This year is a little more special because we got new turf.
There you go.
And
nice. So last year was kind of a
Look, like a big old smile. He got all excited when we started about turf. But as a coach, that's what you expect.
That's what you expect.
Yeah.
But it's really cool. The Booster Club gets there at about 6:30 in the morning, and they put the flags up on the stadium. And so when players and the community are driving by, coaches are getting to work, the flags are up, and it's game day. Our student activities director and administration do a great job of really promoting the game. And I think now – the one thing about the West Side, I think that's still kind of like when we grew up, is it's still a community.
Correct.
There's not so many schools around us that kids are jumping ship back and forth. Your neighbor, if you're going to Franklin, your neighbor's going to Franklin.
Correct.
It's not at some other places where.
Yeah, well, you go to America's.
Although now they have the option if they can go basically wherever they want to go. So it's great to see that
the open
in your
district
community you do that. So before we start getting to the team and breaking down some of these teams you're going to be playing, what is it like every year? Because I think you guys are the last schools that actually do it consistently. Because I remember Jeff and Bowie used to do it. I think when we're speaking to the Jeff people, it's the first time they're going to play that game at Jeff,
Jeff,
that they were
yes.
telling us in how many years. Like, you all get to play the West Side Bowl, and of course against Coronado there at the Sun Bowl. What is that like for you to coach in that stadium?
You know, when I first got to Franklin and I coached there, it was unreal. I mean, you know, I don't really get starstruck much, but, you know, I was there as an assistant, and to be a part of that game, just the intensity, it's like a playoff game. And so it doesn't matter at all how Franklin's doing or Coronado. When you go into that game, it is a true rivalry game, and both teams are going to get after it. But, you know, you see the crowd, the pride, people even across the city. We play it on a Thursday, so there's a lot of other teams that come to watch that game in the Sun Bowl.
You get a lot more eyes out there for that game.
You do get a lot more eyes, and I think the experience for the kids, and not just the football team, but the band, the cheerleaders, the dance teams. You know, it's just the trainers, the managers, for them to be on a college field and a college stadium.
And I think what people don't realize, Coach, is how beautiful the Sun Bowl is. And that's one thing that Coach Scotty Walden always talks about, how great the Sun Bowl is, because since I travel with the team, honestly, when we're on the buses, the first thing I'm looking at when we're on the road with the Miners, I'm like, I wonder what it's going to look like when we're driving up to the stadium. Because I know what it looks like when I'm going to UTEP, when I'm driving myself. I'm like, all of a sudden, when you realize there's a stadium in the middle of a mountain. And then everything, the surroundings is just amazing. So the fact that y'all get to play there is, because like I said, people, we take it for granted because we're from here. So I'm sure I see when the players from out of town, when they come to play against UTEP, I see their eyes light up like, wow, this is an amazing stadium. So I've always thought it was great that you all are continuing that tradition of playing at the Sun Bowl.
Yeah, and I gotta, you know, really thank the district and both the Coronado community and the Franklin community, because it is a big investment money wise.
Yep.
And I think sometimes people from the outside question it, but I think it shows that there's a lot of people that care about athletics and want to give kids a great experience.
High school is all about the experience, just like college. I mean, you want to have those experiences growing up in high schools, because you know what? If you ask all these alumni from Coronado and Franklin, you know, what do they remember? The West Side Bowl. What's the biggest thing that they remember? They go back and they look back. I was like, man, that West Side Bowl was the greatest thing in the world for them. It's like that Texas-Oklahoma rivalry.
Yeah.
The one game you can't lose is that one.
That's right.
You know, you know. So that means a lot to both schools, and I know it means a lot to Franklin. So I mean, it's just crazy.
Coach, talk to us about some of your players this year that you're expecting. Now, the correct answer is you're expecting everybody to do great, but what are some of the people we should be looking out for the Franklin Cougars this season?
Yeah, you know, like I said, we got 9 back on defense, and so I think when you look, you know, I'll start in the middle of our defense with our defensive tackle, Anthony Meras. He's just a great player, smart, strong, a leader. I think he's going to be one to watch out for sure. You know, replacing JB Guzman is a big seat to fill, but we slid in our will linebacker, Danny Martinez, there, and he's just had a tremendous job. And he played a lot last year. He started at will for us, so he'll make the transition into Mike. I think both our safeties and Tyson McDavid and Rhett Packer, they've got a lot of experience, and they've had a good camp. They had a great spring. You know, at corner, we got a battle there, which is a good thing, you know, between Kingston Jeffries, Brody Martinez, and Cameron Kitchka, those guys. So we have some depth there, which is really good. And then offensively, we're very young. So there's a lot of guys that I think have a chance to make a name for themselves. You know, we got the slot receiver, Santi Perez, who's a returning starter and is very dynamic, plays multiple spots for us on offense. You know, I think our quarterback, Elijah Barinietos, he's a sophomore, but he's got the size, he's got the arm. He's a special talent, and so I think his ceiling is extremely high. And then, you know, if you know anything about our track team and how fast we are, we have a lot of guys out there that run track and are part of those relays. And so we've got some speed out on the edge. You know, we'll be young up front. You know, losing 5 senior offensive linemen is never a fun thing to do.
To lose that's a lot up front. But I know that you probably got some coming right back in and filling those spots in and ready to take over the what is the most important position in football?
Yeah, without question. You know, if we can't run the ball and protect the quarterback, we're gonna
Yep.
we're
got
gonna
nothing.
we're gonna be struggling. But you know, we got a senior at center, and then we got some sophomores, especially at the tackle positions. And so we have been blessed. Last year's freshman class, we had some really good offensive linemen. This year's freshman class, we have some really good offensive linemen. So it's just going to be a matter of how fast these guys can grow up and acclimate to the varsity game and the speed of it. But they go against a tenacious defensive line every day in practice, and so it's only going to make them better. I thought they did a really good job last week in the scrimmage against Canantillo, and you know, Coach Brooks's teams are very aggressive, physical.
They're very, very disciplined football out there.
Since you brought up Coach Brooks, of course, we all know that this is going to be his last year coaching. Give us some thoughts on, because I know you're not playing him this year, but give me your thoughts on Coach Brooks.
You know, just number one, just a first class guy, and in it for all the right reasons, and just like his dad was. You know, when I look at Coach Brooks, I remember for my first time ever coaching, sitting at a table at the El Paso Clinic, and right next to us was Don Brooks, Tony Shaw, Alan Sepowitz,
Wow, legends,
and Jim Bradley from Mayfield. You know,
Hall of Fame.
And I remember me and Mark were sitting there and thinking, like, how cool is that? That look who's sitting at the table, and just listening to those guys talk. And then as you go through this career, if you're lucky enough to stay in it, now you have Scott Brooks as one of those guys, and just, you know, his commitment to Canantillo and those kids in that community and what he stands for, not just for their community, but for El Paso coaches and El Paso football and El Paso sports. I mean, he's one of the nicest guys.
Great guy.
Great competitor. But when I think about Scott Brooks, I just think about a guy that did it the right way.
That's right.
Every day of his life. And so it's going to be different to not see him there as the head
on the
coach.
sideline, correct.
You brought up your brother. I'm just curious because now you're coaching in different cities. So, like, how often do you all talk, like Saturday or Sunday? Like, obviously you're busy on Friday. Maybe a text, hey, bro, good luck. Good luck to you too. And then Sunday, Saturday, you got to start breaking down film. So when do you guys actually have the opportunity to go back and forth how your games went?
You know, usually Friday night. Sometimes it'll be a call, sometimes it'll be a text, and then later on Saturday we'll talk. But really throughout the year, Mark and I talk, you know, at least 3-4 times a week.
That's good.
And so that's never stopped. This week's been a little crazy with with testing and you know, week one stuff, him getting ready, me getting ready. We missed each other a couple times. But, you know, I think I'm his biggest fan and he's my biggest fan. And so the interesting thing, though, is, you know, we don't talk about football as much as people think.
No, because that's the last thing. It's kind of like when you work at a pizza joint, you don't want to eat pizza, you want to eat a hamburger, or you want to eat some chicken wings, or you want to go eat a steak. I totally understand that. So let's talk about the schedule. A couple of big teams, of course. Like I said, you do play in 6A where the big boys play. We like to say that. No disrespect, because like it is what it is. So, of course, we're going to break down the Chapin game, which is your first game. But, of course, the big old one that you circled, that I circled, is towards the end of the year, 4 weeks before the season ends. And that's, of course, when you take on the Eastwood Troopers.
Yeah.
You know, of course, Julio's still there, returning a lot of guys, you know, always is able to find quarterbacks and just make quarterbacks and get wide receivers, because that's what he was, you know. So your thoughts as you not preview that game, because that's so many weeks away, that's months away, but still, like, I'm sure that's one of the games you're looking forward to going against this year.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say they're the number one team going into the season. And they've earned that, and they've shown that on the field. And Coach Lopez and his staff do a great job, and they've got great kids out there that compete hard. And I think it's a place where kids want to go and play, and that's a credit to them and the culture of Eastwood High School. You know, when you play Eastwood, you got to be on your P's and Q's for sure. You know, you have to be disciplined. They're going to stretch the field vertically and horizontally all night. Coach Lopez is going to go for it on fourth down. I think one of the most impressive things is, you know, their offense is going to be good, but I think their defensive staff has done a really great job. And you usually don't see, when teams are pushing the ball on offense so fast and trying to score that many points, usually the defense isn't as, you know, successful. But I think last year, that defensive staff did a tremendous job. They did a tremendous job against us, regardless of what the stat sheet says. They won that game, but they are very impressive on defense at all three levels. And I think when you look at programs, it's not just a varsity program. It's how are their freshmen,
Yep.
how are their JV, and
It
so
actually it really starts from their feeder school
Yeah,
because of what I've known. Their feeder schools really do everything that they do up in the top.
Yeah, well, that's testament to what Coach Lopez does, but also testament to what you do because your feeder schools also have been very impressive the last couple of seasons as well, Coach.
Yes. No, we got a great community, and we got kids that care and parents that care, and our kids work really hard. I tell people all the time, like, Franklin kids don't understand, like, if they're not the best player on the field, they don't understand that, and so
That's good.
they just don't know how to lose, and that's how they practice, and that's how they train, and I think that starts at home.
Yep.
And then the commitment from Hornado and Brown Middle School as well, and we spend not as much time as I think we would like to with those coaches, with everything that they got to do, teaching and taking care of their campus. But, that's been a big initiative for us when I got to Franklin, is to really bridge that gap and really start streamlining everything from our philosophy, not just on the field, but in the locker room, how we want our players to conduct themselves off the field, social media and all of that stuff. And those are all habitual.
Yeah, because
And
it's stuff like that that when we were growing up, because I think we're about the same age. I'm older than all of you. I'll be able to say that. But we never had to deal with, because I played basketball. Obviously, you guys played football. But still, we didn't have any of those challenges like social media. We went out there and did something like dumb. Nobody knew. We knew. But now it's hard because you have to teach them basically, like, can't do this, can't do that. You got to be a pro when you do that, because there's cameras everywhere now. It's crazy.
It's the term, the eye in the sky
Yep.
will never lie, because
That's
it's going
right.
to find you.
So let's talk about, first of all, you're taking on Chapin this week, and then you're going to travel next week to take on a strong Midland League team.
Yes. So Chapin, they got a big running back.
Yep, they do. Yes, they do.
Probably the biggest running back we'll see this year. And, like Chapin always does, they have a lot of athletes. And they lost some guys on defense, but in looking at their film, they've reloaded the cabinet pretty well. They got some big guys up front that move well. Their secondary moves well. They track the ball really well. They're aggressive. They run that stack defense, so they're going to bring pressure from different places. We got to be ready for that.
They're going to test your young quarterback. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, they are. And so it should be a good game, And I think when I looked at our pre-district, for the most part, we get a little different challenge each week. That whether it's the scheme that they're playing or the type of athletes that they have on the field. So, if we can stay healthy and just continue to get better each week, I think by the time we get to district play, we'll be primed and ready to go. And then like you talked about Midland Lee, they're returning a lot of guys, and we had a great game with them up for 3.5 quarters last year.
Just short, but you did great out there, mind you.
And then also the Andrews, you're playing Andrews too. That you have a very strong non-district schedule.
First 3 games are hard.
Yeah, and Andrus, I saw them scrimmage against Coronado, and they're big. Their line's big. Their quarterback's really disciplined with the ball and how he spreads it out. And, of course, they got plenty of guys on the outside to throw it to. Defensively, they play fast. They get to the ball, and they're well coached over there by Coach Taylor. So, we don't have any cupcakes those first 3 weeks.
And then after that, you go into district play. So Coral, Montwood, East, we talked about East Lake, who has something to improve. Pebble Hill is always doing stuff. Then, of course, Coronado with the West Side Bowl coach. So we do have a couple comments. Jack Lutz says, if coach needs a strength and conditioning guy, he'll gladly donate his time. Jack weighs about maybe 240 pounds. My man is ripped. He does the wrestling show with us. That's why
He does. He's on our slamming it.
Yeah. So yeah, coach. So we have a couple of people watching, and but yeah, coach, I appreciate you stopping by, because especially the first week, because I know how hectic it is the very first week, because like we as EP Broadcast Company, we start our live streaming on Friday. So we're doing all the games at SAC 1 and SAC 2, so that means we'll get to see you twice when you're playing against Montwood, and then also when you're playing against Eastlake. So we look forward to that. But I look forward to the season, and I want to thank you for spending 30 minutes with us and breaking down what you did in the preseason, and then now the season is upon us. It's just For me, it's like Christmas. Like for me, season kicks off tomorrow. So for me, it's like Christmas then. But for me, it's really Christmas next week because we got actually like in 3 weeks because we got high school, then we got UTEP, and then we got the Dallas Cowboys. Even though they disappoint me every year, but it is what it is.
Well, before you go, what do you think Dallas is going to look like this year, Coach?
Are you a Cowboy fan?
I'm a Cowboy
That's
fan.
what I'm talking about,
I'm a
player.
Cowboy
That's what
fan.
I'm talking about, player.
You know what? I think they're going to get in. I think they're going to be a wild card team. I think, again, Coach Schottenheimer there now. The changes on defense that kind of matches more their skill set and their players, going to that odd front where they're going to be attackful. And I always think the Cowboys are at their best when people are counting them out. And so I haven't heard a lot of Cowboy fans predicting Super Bowl.
No, we can't talk anything. Daniel Zarate says, good luck, Coach. We know what you're about to go get it. I'm just very curious before we wrap it up because, it took us a while to set up, but Coach Walden was here, and he had a conversation with you. What were you all like just talking? What's it like when two coaches are just talking shop?
Oh, man, Coach Walden's so approachable and nice and genuine. I think that's what makes him special. But we were just talking about Shea Smith.
Yep.
Marcus Torres, our tackle that is a freshman there. Eric over there, how he's doing and how he's progressing. And then the other El Paso kids on the team. He's really excited about the Mountain West. I had a conversation with him about a week ago, and I just, in talking to, Shea Smith and Marcus and seeing how camp's going from the players' perspective. And so I really think that they're gonna shock some people too. I think they're headed in the right direction.
They're going to surprise some people. Coach, I appreciate you spending 30 minutes with us, and we wish you nothing but success and luck this season. Hopefully everybody's healthy, and hopefully we'll be doing one of your playoff games as well.
All right.
And hopefully it'll be at Franklin because we love to do that stuff. So, Coach, I appreciate you. Nothing but love. Right. We go back, way back, in my band Fonzie. So we'll take a break. You're watching the Coaches and High School Preview Show from Deadbeach Brewery right here on EP Broadcast Company. Well, we are back. First ever Coaches and High School Preview Show here at Deadbeach Brewery. On to the Mando Medina, El Autobus, Christian Molinar, and of course, Fonzie Gomez. The broadcast crew, we saw the previews. I know I just showed the commercials, but I want to show this one too because it makes it look fancy when I do it this way. I cover myself up and you can still see. So allow me to talk about the games that we're going to do this week. Of course, the first game that you see on your screen there, that's a 6:30 start on Friday from SAC 2. That is the Burgess Mustangs taking on the Socorro Bulldogs. Christian, you will be doing the play-by-play there with one of our newest members of EP Broadcast, and a good friend of mine that I've known for like 20 years. And
Oh, yeah.
I've been trying to get him on to do play-by-play in color. And Fonzie, you've known him for many years.
I've known him for many years. He was my defensive coordinator.
And that Bill Smith. So shout out to my man Bill Smith and his son Trey also, who worked with us at Town Talk. So glad to have Bill Smith as part of the family. And also Daniel, one of our new camera guys. Everybody that's new, I don't really see myself. Everybody sees me anyway. So, so I look forward to that. We'll break down that game in a couple of seconds, and then of course, the 7:30 game is going to be the Del Valle Conquistadores taking on East Lake. That
Should be
is
a good one.
a lot of people think that's basically the game of the week, and that will be broadcast on epbroadcast.com. We've got the links up right now. Fonzie, you and I will be doing the play-by-play for that one.
Correct.
Little Joe Panda will be our camera guy along with Daniel. And then also, it's also going to be something, a first that nobody's done before. We will be simulcasting that game to our friends at Channel 9 on their KTSM Plus app. And the KTSM Plus app is an app that works on Roku, on Fire Stick, and Samsung TV only. So watch it on the big screen at home on the KTSM Plus app. So we look forward to that. So, gentlemen, we're here to preview some of these games that are going to happen. And like I said, we got about 20 minutes to cover. So let's begin here. First of all, let's just start off the bat. We had Chapin and Franklin. We just had Coach Torres there. So let's talk about this game. Chapin, of course, comes back. I'll let you guys get to it. I'm only doing that because he was here with us here. So it's on Friday. Of course, it's at Franklin. We talked about a couple of key players for Chapin. Is going to be Jacobo Chavez, Crowan Martin, Aiden Sanders, and, of course, on defense, Xavier Sanders for Franklin. Of course, Coach talked about his quarterback, Elijah Barrientos, Santiago Perez, wide receiver, Daniel Martinez Morillo, much more. So, it's very hard to gauge how these teams are going to do the first week, right, Christian?
Yeah, it's, you miss some guys, right? They leave, and there's some shoes to fill, especially for Chapin at their offensive position. They lose some guys, and they went over to UTEP. So that first week, you kind of see what you're made of, right? All these scrimmages that you go through, all these reps that you go through, but when it comes live, you really get a taste of what the season might look like and if you have to make some adjustments.
Because that's when the nervousness comes in.
Right.
Because you know what, you can play scrimmages, you can't be nervous.
Yep.
It's a glorified practice. But when you go ahead and you play a game, and it's live, and it's a big game.
Yeah.
You're playing a big school. When you're Chapin, you're looking at Franklin, and you got to travel down to the west side, and you're just like, oh, Lord. But, I look overall, I'm going to take Franklin in this game. I think they're going to go do a good job. They got a young core that is playing for a while.
For me, it'd be the defense, that Coach Torres.
He's got
By the
9
way,
guys
speaking
coming
of, I believe we have a message, Mr. Torres, to my son, good luck, see you soon. And then we want to thank Catherine Posey Sariana saying, great show. Thank you for that. So, Boost, who are you taking?
I got Franklin. It's at home, and they got to make a statement here. And Chapin, losing some offensive weapons might be some tough sledding.
Yep.
First couple of weeks.
So
Yes.
I guess we'll start with one of the games that's going to happen tomorrow, and that's America's at Canotillo. That is at the Blue Turf. Fonzie, who do you got in this game?
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Canotillo. It's a big season for them. Coach Scott Brooks says this is last season, so you want to give it to them. But don't count out America's. America's is tough, and it looks like they might have their quarterback situation probably solved. But I'm going to go ahead and take Canotillo on this one because they're at home.
Who's how much pressure do you think these players? And we asked them. We asked them on Sunday during the Prep One Media Day. We asked the players because I think I spoke to every team that went, right? I think there's only 2 teams that didn't show up. So we spoke to like 30. I interviewed 30 football teams with the players, and we asked them, and they said that they feel some pressure, but it's more a sense of pride that they want to send out Coach Brooks on winning a note.
And Coach Brooks has a ton of respect across the city.
Yep.
But I have to believe that there's some motivation to these teams that are going to play him. And as far as, spoiling kind of this last dance, if you will, I think Americas can make this a tight game. I really think if they stretch the field a little bit on Canotillo's defense, that might be where Canotillo has to chase points. I mean, they've struggled a little bit in the past years with some offensive issues, but it's going to be a toss-up. I just think that there's a lot of emotion behind it. I'm not comfortable putting it all on Canotillo. I think Americas might make it a game.
It's like that saying, it's your it's Coach Brooks' last game of this season. Did I say that right? First game.
Don't know where you're going.
Last-
No,
yeah,
I got you.
You get a little tongue twisted there, my man.
Something like that.
It's his last first
Yeah.
opener, if you will.
Opener, yes, there you go.
The other game happening on Thursday is the Montwood Rams traveling to
Hanks.
take on the Hanks at Excalibur Stadium. So we'll begin. Of course, Montwood has had a down year last year. They're trying to rebuild there with Coach Ivan Rangel, and of course you see the success that the Hanks had a pretty good year last year. With Coach Scott Valise there, I thought they did a good job. They tried to get the momentum. I think more of the pressure's here on Montwood to try to win this
absolutely.
game. There's a lot of pressure on that Montwood team, because like I said, I live in the area, so I know what it's like. But speaking to Coach Rangel on Sunday during the Prep 1 Media Day, he was very confident that this team was like one of the best teams that he had, especially mentally and physically. So like, I'm very curious to see how that game's going to go.
Yeah, and this is the year where they have to kind of put those pieces together.
Yep.
And I agree with you. The pressure's on them. Hanks has a terrific offensive system, and they can score. So this is going to come down to stopping Hanks' offense and producing points for Montwood. That's where that game lies. But you got to find a way to put the brakes on this offense that Coach Scott Valise has put together.
Now it starts paying off when Hanks was there. I remember when Hernandez had his camp there at Hanks, and we were talking to Scott Valise, and he was telling me, man, I got a young team. I go, yeah, you got a young team now, but waiting 2 years. And then look at what they did last year. I think this year's going to be even bigger for the Hanks Knights.
Yeah, I think the momentum, right? The beauty of having a young team means that you have to kind of struggle for the first two, and then you're just kind of reloading after that point because everybody's familiar with the system and everybody's had time to season it. So
every team that has to reload and has a new process, a new coach, it takes 1 or 2 seasons to get there, because now everything is implemented. As I remember coaching, it takes about 1 or 2 years to get what you need across and for everybody to buy in. In this game, I'm going to take Hanks over Montwood in this game, folks.
Yeah, I don't argue too much with it. I just think Montwood needs it a little bit more.
I think there's more pressure on Montwood to win this game. And I think if Montwood, because I think this would be an upset for Montwood if they win this game because of the way they have struggled a lot last year. They're okay offensively, defensively was the biggest challenge they had. So, but I think if Montwood can pull this off, that they might be off and running because you just never know. It might be a big confidence booster. So we'll find out on Thursday. A couple of games that we're talking about. Centennial is at Andress. I like the Andress Eagles in this game.
I do too. Milton at quarterback.
Yeah, so that's one of the easy ones we can do there. Chaparral at Mountain View. There, as we talk a little Mountain View and Chaparral football.
I'm going to take Mountain View on that one.
Oh yeah, I will too.
I will take Mountain View. One of the teams that has the toughest task this week is the Bel Air Highlanders. First of all, shout out to our good friend Ariel Coach Famaligi, who is back at his alma mater, the Bel Air Highlanders, of course, former UTEP Miner as well. Good to see him back in the coaching rank. We got to speak to him as well, Fonzie. He's very happy to be there, but he admitted it's a young team. They're with the Highlanders, so and they're taking as you heard Coach Torres say, Boost, you're taking on the number one team in the city right now. And oh, by the way, the game is at Eastwood, and we know Friday Night Lights is real at Eastwood. It's a different level at Eastwood, without a doubt.
I remember calling games at Eastwood just a couple of years ago in the COVID season. It is big time over there. But I think this is a renewal of rivalry. New coach at Bel Air. Hey, they're coming to challenge for the helmet. Remember, it's the battle of the helmet for these guys. It's a big, nice little rivalry. Eastwood's going to be the one that's going to knock them out.
I think when you look at Coach Famaligi and his track record, he's gone into some places as a coordinator and he's implemented offenses that have turned things around fast. Socorro is
last year he was at Franklin. He was with Coach Torres last year. Was Coach Fama.
So if he implements let's get into a track meet with Eastwood, just because he knows he can do that with his offense, it could be high scoring. I know Eastwood's going to take it because it's totally different over there. By the way, if you don't know, they charge reserve seating.
Yes.
Yeah, they do.
At
Oh, they do.
Eastwood?
Yeah.
Yes, they
Man,
do.
they do.
it's big time, baby. Especially,
it's a different type of temper.
especially when you got the logo man
Yeah.
on your jersey. Those are not cheap
So,
jerseys you can have. So
It's a different breed out there, that's for sure.
a tremendous game that we look forward to every year, and this time it's the first game. We talked to about Bowie and Jefferson.
There you go.
So Bowie is at Jefferson. I think they told us it's the first time it's happening in a long time.
I think it was
gonna
like 40, 50 years.
that
or
the
something
games
like
actually
that.
that was one of the games that would always play at the Sun Bowl. But Bowie is at Jeff. Gentlemen, of course, we have seen both teams have struggled. Yeah, I thought Bowie did pretty good last year. I thought Jefferson has been struggling of late. So how do you see this new season for Coach Tony Martinez and the Silver Foxes?
You know, honestly, Coach Tony Martinez is one of the best coaches
Yep.
that around, and he's done a lot with the less resources, and he's always kept his spirits up. He's always kept that program trending in the right direction. I think it's going to be a close one, and I think it means more to them hosting this game.
Yep.
I think it's going to be tight. I got Jefferson in this one.
You know, you would pick Jefferson. I mean, I would love to pick Jefferson because, you know, Tony Martinez, a former Sled alumni. But, you know, my family, a lot of them is a Bowie Bear family, you know.
That's fine. That's
But
fine.
these games usually records mean nothing, and it's
Yeah,
surprising
not
to
a
see
dang
this.
thing.
Well, the thing is that it's the first
First
game
game
now
of the season.
because they're in different districts, which is the next game we're going to talk about. The Battle of the Claw happening at historic El Paso High School, one of the best, if not the best, high school
best
stadium
U.
in the country. So the Battle of the Claw, I remember it would be one of those games towards the end of the year, but now it's kind of like the way Coronado and Franklin do it. Now Austin, El Paso, because they're no longer in the same district, it's got to be the first game. And mind you, it kind of irks me because I want to do that game sometimes, you know, but it is what it is. So Battle of the Claw, you know. Austin, I thought, had a very good year last year. We talked to Coach Pichardo on Sunday during the Prep 1 Media Day. They play Ironman football boost.
Of course.
You know what that's like. They're a very tough team. Coach Pichardo, Fonzie, you know this, loves to run the ball. You know, they're at Austin. El Paso High, let's be real, they've been struggling the last couple of years. You know, Coach Lopez there, I mean, he's got to turn it around. So we'll start with you, Fonzie. Who you got in this game?
I'm going to take Austin here because you know what? That running machine, offensively, nobody's been able to solve it. I mean, they've had great runs. If you look at all the great teams in Austin that have come out of there, they've ran that wishbone. They've ran that veer. They ran that single T offense, and they've done really well. They haven't had to have a 1,000-yard passer to be successful, but they have had the 1,000-yard rushes. And this Austin team will be no different. And I'm going to go ahead and take Austin over El Paso at El Paso High.
Yeah, records mean nothing, and it doesn't matter. These games are always enjoyable to watch, and they're always tight. I got Austin, though. That the way they play Ironman ball, the way they just control the clock, if he's got to have a 10-minute drive,
He's going to have a 10-minute drive.
So it's really hard when you talk about some of these matchups that Austin has faced over the years, how well they can defend that.
I want to remind everybody our broadcast begin on Friday right here on the EP Broadcast Network. Go to EP Broadcast Company, go to epbroadcast.com. And, of course, on Thursday, Burgess versus Socorro. Boost, you've got that one. And then Del Valle versus Eastlake at 7:30. Remember, that's going to be simulcast also to KTSM Plus. Let us move on. Some of the smaller schools in our aspect, but for them, these are huge game. Anthony versus Sanelli. That's Friday. It's going to happen at Sanelli. Of course, we had the opportunity to speak to both of these programs, and these guys were pumped up for this game, Fonzie, because, I mean, there's a lot of rivalry there. Both of these teams have to travel far, you know, to play some of their games. So, Fonzie, let me know who you got in this game.
You know what? I'm going to have my heart is always going to be in Sanelli for me coaching out there in Sanelli for for like about 4 or 5 years. Those kids are great. I know what the rivalry is against Anthony. It's always big, especially with these county schools. I'm going to take Sanelli with a win over Anthony.
I think it comes down to possession, right? If Anthony, with their running attack, if they can find a way to control the clock, just like we talked about with Austin, if they find a way to control that, it could be Anthony's game. I think this is a tightly contested matchup. It's going to come down to the last possession, but I got Anthony in this one.
El Dorado Aztecs taking on the Coronado Thunderbirds. A battle of two teams that are going to be totally different. Coronado came on strong towards the end of last season. Of course, El Dorado losing the best running back in the city, of course, with Ray Estrada, who's now going to be playing for the Minnesota Gophers this year. And I'm correct when I say that. They're the Gophers, right? So he's out there.
Golden Gophers.
So they obviously got to replace the running back situation there with El Dorado. So El Dorado's gone undefeated in district play 2 years in a row, and teams know that. Yes. Teams remember. So they're not going to take it easy on this team, especially because of what they've been able to do. But like I said, Coronado, Coach Mike Pryder doing a tremendous job trying to, like I said, towards the end of the year, they're very close of maybe getting the playoffs. You just weren't able to do it. Boost, who do you got in this game?
You know, El Dorado has to make a statement that it's just not the Ryan Estrada offense, right? Bryce Booth has been the quarterback. Yep. He's been at the helm.
He was very confident on Sunday, by the way.
And I spoke with him on Sunday, and you know what? I've seen him play since he was a sophomore when he started. As a matter of fact, it was the first game of the season where he took on Andrus, and they did a great job. And I told him, I was like, "What do I expect from you this year?" He's like, "Coach, you're gonna do. I'm gonna do great things this year. I know that we don't have the big running back name back there, but we're going to do good. And I'm going to take El Dorado on my end to just get over Coronado. Not a blowout, just get over.
Emmanuel Christian, as we do some six-man there, taking on El Paso Leadership Academy. I want to bring this up because this is a huge deal for both schools, especially for Emmanuel Christian, because for many years they didn't have football boosts, and they finally brought it back. I think this is going to be the third year that football has been back there for Emmanuel Christian, and of course El Paso Leadership Academy. They're leaders. That's the mascot, because like it looked like the uniform had like wings on it.
Correct.
So I asked the team, "What is your mascot?" And like, we don't know. But even though it said leaders on it, so we asked the coach, and the coach said they're leaders. So both of these, of course, Leadership Academy, state champions.
Yes.
You know, so this is a big matchup in town, and they're going to be playing in Canutillo when the coach told us. And I believe we might be able to do one of their games maybe that weekend that me and Tysher in Michigan. You two might be able to do a game that Saturday when they're playing at Bowie.
And that's going to be one of those great matchups because they're bringing in a school that is a big-time school, and they will be from, I think, right outside of Dallas. They have a little show, and they come out here. But six-man football, I tell you, it's crazy. It's basketball on wheels. I've coached it as well. And these two schools are going to be great. This is going to be a great matchup. Expect a lot of fireworks in this game.
Should be a good one. I think Leadership Academy East, they've built kind of a powerhouse in such a short time. I think they'll handle business again.
Yes.
Once again, we're live here at Deadbeach Brewery. We won't be here next week because we're going to be getting ready to travel with the UTEP Miners, but we'll be back in 2 weeks. Horizon versus Pecos. Horizon, they've struggled the last couple of years, but I was speaking to Coach also at Prep 1 Media Day, and very confident on his team. Boost, you're around that area too, the Horizon area against Pecos, but that's a tough task to start off the season against Pecos.
Right now, it's really tough too for Horizon, just because to get into a bigger deal here, the housing right there keeps exploding, and people keep moving towards Eastlake, and so Eastlake's getting a lot of that good talent, and there's a lot left over that, you know. There's a lot of kids at Eastlake, and there's not a lot of kids at Horizon, so they're kind of dealing with that battle of constantly trying to get people.
They're running into the same problem that Coronado is running into, because Franklin is getting all the booming, getting all the kids, and Coronado's not getting the pick of the litter like they're used to have.
And it reminds you, but it's always been a thing, guys. Just remember when it was Isleto back then, and then they built Bel Air and Riverside, and then they built Del Valle.
Well, I can tell you where I live. I remember when Montwood first opened up, they were getting Coach Felice there was getting all the big players, and then all of a sudden El Dorado opens up, they're getting all the players. Then Americas opens up, they're getting all the players. Then Pebble Hills opens up, and now they're getting all the players. So it's crazy, but you got to deal with that. Let us move on as we're going to get close to wrapping up the show here. Just a couple of games that are kind of a big. The Parkland Matadors taking on the Riverside Rangers. Of course, the Rangers always solid there with Coach Chavez doing a tremendous job. And, of course, Lima Quarter with the Parkland and Matadors. This game will be at Riverside. Should be a tremendous matchup there. As always, they have one of the most explosive running backs, who's a UTEP commit, you
Yes.
know. So I look forward to see what he's going to be doing there. Fonzie, who do you like in this game?
I'm going to take Riverside on this one, and not they're just going to just beat Parkland, probably by 3 points in there. But I'll take Riverside on this one.
Boost.
It's got to come down to how fast Riverside starts, but I'll take Parkland in this one. I just think that it's going to be a close game. You can pick kind of a pick 'em, but I'll go opposite of Fonzie here.
The Pebble Hill Spartans traveling to Midland. Of course, it's always tough to travel, but I love it when these El Paso schools start off tough and just go out there, because Midland came here to El Paso last year. This year, Pebble Hills go out there. Coach Warner does a tremendous job. You know, Pebble Hill is always solid, you know, from Coach Torres and now to Coach Warner. So I'm going to go Pebble Hills. When they go out of town, I'm always going to go for the El Paso schools, you know. So I'm going Pebble Hills in this one. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough,
It's going to be a tough
you.
game, but I will take Pebble Hills by 3.
I've seen it happen.
Joe Fernandez last year had a lot of he had to kind of grow up into the offense. He was the young guy. Now it's his time where he's had a lot of time to do that growing up in the offseason. I think they'll make it a close fourth quarter game. I got Pebble Hills, though.
Although I will say it's going to be kind of tough when you lost your star wide receiver like in the middle of the summer when he left to Dallas, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he transferred out.
Yep. The Isleta Indians went perfect last year. The only game they lost was in the playoffs. And I guess Henry can attest to that because Henry was at every game, something the Isleta Indians have never done. They return. The quarterback is coming back. Martinez is coming back. A couple of the wide receivers are coming back. We got to speak to them as well. So, like, they know they got that big target boost. So, like, for them to try to repeat and be perfect is a very tough task. And they're going to be traveling to take on Big Spring, and that's going to be tough to do.
Yeah, Big Spring's always a tough opponent. We saw Riverside go up there, and it was tough for them. I still like Isleta just because they got a good group coming back. And, you know, Martinez at quarterback did tremendous last year. I expect nothing less this year.
I'm going to say the Tomahawk Chop. The Indians take it on. They
Well,
got a lot of
we've
guys.
got to pick Isleta because,
gotta
like I
pick
said, they're going
Isleta.
out of town. Of course, we both went to Isleta, so we got to pick Isleta along with them.
And this is the perfect time when you travel out of town. First games, nobody's ever ready.
And now let's talk about the games that we're going to be broadcasting right here on EP Broadcast Company. Of course, go to the website, epbroadcast.com. That we got the links there. And, of course, we'll be sharing them on social media. It all begins at 6:30 at beautiful SAC 2, one of the best stadiums, if not the best stadium here in El Paso. Best facilities they got here at the SAC, the best people that run it, you know, the best field, you know, the best environment there is at SAC 2 and at SAC 1. We are honored that we are the official broadcast partner of Socorro Independent School District once again. And I look forward to being a partner for them. And we're going to start it off with your Socorro Bulldogs. And I say yours to both of you because you guys have a lot of ties coaching-wise when it comes to the Socorro Bulldogs, taking on a Burgess team that was going to come up last year. I think the biggest challenge that Socorro has fixed is that last year they were doing the rotating quarterback. After every drive, it was a different quarterback. And you can't have any boost. You're an offensive lineman. You know, it's different when you have a different quarterback there. The cadence, I mean, it's hard to get used to. Fonzie, you're a quarterback coach. You used to be a quarterback for the Indians. You know, imagine if you had to, like, one drive, you get to do one, and then the next drive you can. Honestly, I think that was the biggest problem we saw for Socorro because they have a tremendous running back.
You
do
cannot
these Socorro Bulldogs
you can't
with
build
Adrian Hunt.
chemistry with two quarterbacks. And leadership-wise, you're going to have guys divided because they don't know who to really be with and protect, because and that's the God's honest truth when you look at it. But the two quarterback system doesn't really work unless you're running the wishbone. That's the only way.
Well, they have a tremendous, they have a great running back in Adrian Hunt. Just give the ball to Hunt because I remember saying touchdown Socorro Hunt, which is something we hadn't heard once again because of what what Coach Famalidi had laid the foundation 2 years prior. Boost.
Yeah, and Hunt you got to rely on him to get you some big gains. Coming out of first down, just kind of controlling possession. If you rely on him, you're going to be okay. I mean, this could be a game that Socorro, I don't know when the last time they went 1-0 in week 1, and this might be the time. Burgess is not going to be an easy out. It's going to be a fourth quarter game. I expect it to be really close all the way through, but I got Socorro by a yard maybe.
A yard.
Moose, you've got that game with Bill Smith. Then, of course, the game that a lot of people call it the game of the night. That is going to be Del Valle versus Eastlake at SAC 1. I will have the call along with Fonzie. right here on EPBroadcast.com. And, of course, the big situation with Del Valle, they have been very successful the last couple of years because, without a doubt, they had the best quarterback that has come out of El Paso in recent memory. Of course, Mr. Fetty is now playing for the Sun Devils with the Arizona State. And, of course, Eastlake on the come-up last year. They got something to prove. This is going to be one heck of a game because, of course, brand new coach, Coach France now is solidified as the head coach. We asked the players, what's that like? Of course, France was part of the system, but they finally made him the coach. The players are happy that he's there. And I think this is going to be one heck of a game there because Coach Rudy Contreras always finds a way to make, kind of like Coach Julio Lopez at Eastwood, he's always able to find, it's like a quarterback
guru.
Yeah, exactly.
The quarterback whisperer.
So I'm expecting this to be one heck of a game.
I expect a real. I expect fireworks coming out of this game. But you know what? Both teams have really good, solid defenses. So it just depends who's going to make the more stops overall. But I'm not going to give a prediction here because we're calling this game.
Yep.
All right. But both teams have great talent. It just comes down to who's got more possessions and more stops.
So, Boost, you're the deciding factor because you're not calling this game. So, who you got?
I think it depends on where Eastlake takes this game. Do they want to go up tempo and try to get into a track meet with Del Valle, or do they want to make this a slow tempo game? I got to say I want Eastlake. I got to pick Eastlake here, but I think this is going to be on.
And as you see the screen, the two games we talked about are there. Like I said, it's going to happen right here on EPBroadcast.com. We've got the links. And, folks, that is going to wrap it up for our first coaches show and a high school preview. I want to thank, of course, Coach Ruben Torres from Franklin High School being here. I want to thank all the staff here from Deadbeach Brewery. I want to thank the voice of the Miners, the legendary John Tyson, hanging out the whole time, because that's what he does. That's a standout guy that he is. I love Tysher. I'm here because of him. A lot of people, he knows that. I'm here because of him. He's the one that, and I put the blame on him. It's like, Tysher, you're here. Like, if people don't like me, it's because of you, because he's the one that gave me the opportunity when I was a young Mando Medina to intern at back then it was just KRD. There was no 600 ESPN. It was just straight up KRD. So, yes. Tysher, I'm always honored for me to be at the stadium. For me is the best time of my life when we're out there hanging out. The best part is before the game starts, after we're set up and we got like 5 hours until the game starts, we're just hanging out, and truly it's amazing. And I wish a lot more people can experience that because he's a legend. He doesn't like me talking about him. Look at him. He's looking at me, but still, nonetheless, I want to thank you for hanging out. Boost, appreciate you. Have a good call. Fonzie, have a good call. We'll see you on Friday night, and we will see you also on Friday. So thank you so much for joining us here from Deadbeach Brewery. So that is going to wrap it up for our first ever coaches show and high school preview right here on EP Broadcast Company.